Welcome to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, brought to you by Pilma. This podcast helps lead lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Here is your legal marketing expert and host, Ken Hardison.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Ken Hardison, and welcome to another episode of Grow Your Law Firm. And today we're going to be talking about something that is very, very important. It's called money and tax credits. And we have the pleasure of having Michael Blom. Michael Blom is with partner with the Lake Law Firm up in New York. Welcome, Michael. Appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me, Ken.
All right. So, I was talking to you before we started this broadcast, and I thought that these ERTC credits, for employee credits or whatever, were pretty much over with. But you say there's still a lot of time left, and there's still people out there that have talked to their CPAs, and their CPAs don't know what they're talking about. So enlighten us on all this, because I'll just let you take the floor and just talk about it. I mean, because I really did. I thought the time was ticking, and it was over with.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the problem. So with, CPAs and other accounting firms that are doing this, they either don't know about the employee retention tax credit or all of the changes that have since occurred over the years. So it's a 3-year SOL from the date that the original 941 was due for each quarter. So for the first one that would be due, it would be the quarter 2 of 2020. And then at the end of quarter 2 is June 2020. You have 30 days after that, so July 2020, and then plus 3 years is July 2023 is the first SOL that comes up in regards to that first quarter expiring. And that's only for the smaller $5,000 per year credit that you can claim in 2020. And then there's a 3-month SOL that expires every quarter thereafter for the 6 total quarters. So even if you can't get the smaller $5,000 credit in 2020, the larger one is up to $21,000 in 2021, and that doesn't expire until 2024. So that's in regards to the SOL and how long you have to file these claims. But we're encouraging business owners to take action now and have them filed and get the refunds.
And so when you say SOL, I guess you statute of limitation.
Yes.
Okay. Just to verify that. Yeah, and I think what we need to do is we'll put a little URL or something where people can go to at the bottom of this podcast, and they can just click on it and go to you at the end or whatever, however you want to do it. But anyway, so I was talking to you about it, and here's what a lot of lawyers tell me. Well, I didn't lose money, man. I was making, a lot of Pilma members doubled up and actually made more profit in 2021. But that doesn't really matter, does it?
No, there's a few different ways to qualify. So CPAs and accounting firms, they have usually counseled their clients that they have to qualify through the income revenue drop test. If you didn't have certain revenue drops, 50% or more over 2020 as compared to 2019, or 20% or more from the quarter in 2021 as compared to 2019, then you can't get those credits under the straight line revenue drop test. The other way to qualify is through the governmental mandates test. So if your business was affected by a local, state, or federal governmental order in a more than nominal way, and you can tie that back to how your business was affected, you can claim those credits as well. And that's what we do. We sit down with the business owner or the representative that they want to have on the call and explore in each of those 6 quarters how their business was affected and see what mandates were out there and what we can tie back to. And some of those include, limited capacity to work. There were, some states had restrictions on the number of people in the room, or they reduced the number of hours that you could be at work. Courts were closed. You couldn't have projects, at the same timeline that you wanted to. So you could have, you did well, but you could have did even better. But for, these COVID restrictions is really the argument. It's a legal causation analysis.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's where a lot of people miss the boat. And I guess you know, most of the court systems did close down, and I'd say a majority of the states, if I remember correctly.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, there's some states that, of course, that are much harder to prove. Florida, for instance, on the mandate side. But we take a look at what's available. You know, the Northeast was completely shut down. I'm in New Jersey, New York City area, and you know, it was everything. It's still not the same today. So,
yeah, it was a ghost town.
yeah,
I mean, Chicago was a ghost town too, if I remember correctly. I mean, it's completely shut down. But yeah, so this can be big money. I know we've got one lawyer in one of our masterminds that got over $800,000, Michael. So I mean, this is not chump change. I mean, this could be big money, right?
that's right. So in 2020, you can claim up to $5,000. So it's up to $10,000 of qualified wages. You can get up to 50% of that. So that's $5,000, and that's in any of the 3 quarters. So that's in quarter 2, 3, and 4 of 2020. That as long as you have $10,000 up to, you can claim that $5,000 credit per W-2 full-time employee. And a full-time employee is over 30 hours per week. In 2021, they increased that too. So you can have in each of the quarters, quarter 1, 2, and 3, you can have up to $10,000 in qualified wages, and the government will pay up to 70% of that. So $7,000 per quarter in each of those 3 quarters. That's $21,000 for 2021, plus the 5 in 2020 is $26,000 is the maximum credit that you can claim. Even companies and businesses that have claimed ERC may be eligible for additional ERC because they may not have maximized all of the quarters. And even those companies that took out PPP monies in draw 1 or draw 2 can still qualify. Those amounts per quarter will just be deducted out. And what we're seeing across the board is about $16,000 per W-2 employee coming back after those PPP draws are taken into account. So it's substantial money. That's correct.
Yeah, and there's another thing too. Everybody calls them credits, but it's really you get a check.
You get a check. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a credit off your taxes. No, you actually get a check. It's funny, we had one lawyer that he said, I got part of it was deposited direct into my account. And then the other part, I got a check 3 days later for another like $250,000.
That's right. Yeah. Sometimes they do a full, they can do it that way, or just send your business a check. And sometimes it's a partial disbursement, and sometimes it's a full. And we don't know the reason why they're doing partial disbursements, but it's always followed up so far that we've seen to the full disbursement. So
yeah, that's what this lawyer was saying, at our last mastermind meeting. He was saying, I got about 300,000 just deposited from the federal government into my account. And then like 3 days later, I get a check for over $250,000. So he got like $550,000.
Yeah. And it's a quick turnaround. I mean, we're really seeing between 3 and 8 months IRS processing time currently. They do more, auditing, more eyes on the file. If it's above a certain threshold, the higher claims are, of course, going to be looked at more carefully, of course, than the smaller claims, and they're paid out quicker. But, it's a 3 to 8 months, sometimes up to 12 that we're seeing currently.
So how do you get paid for doing this?
So we take a tax deductible contingency fee at the end, only after the business has received the money, and then we invoice them for that amount. And if in fact there is some type of IRS audit down the line, we also provide a complete audit defense. So, if it's a desktop audit, we send in all of the documents, how the credits were calculated. If it's a full audit, we also represent the business through that. And if they have to pay back money at the end, say they have to pay back $25,000, $50,000, we reduce our attorney's fee, our pro rata as well.
Good deal. All right. Anything I didn't ask you about this that I should have, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, the qualified time period I can go over is March 12th, 2020 through September 30th, 2021. So that's where you have certain employment taxes and qualified wages. that a eligible employer paid to their employees. That's the time period that was authorized under the CARES Act, and that was to encourage business owners to keep their employees on the payroll during everything that has been experienced. In terms of who qualifies, it's really, you just need at least one full-time W-2 employee that's not the owner or a family member at the business. Our current threshold is 3 or more. Some firms are taking more or less depending, but that's what we're doing. We also provide completely free consults. So if any law firm owners or other businesses want to reach out to us, we can discuss all of this before ever, signing a retainer agreement.
Okay. And how can they come? We're going to put a deal down there, but how can they get up with you? We'll put a URL.
Yeah, URL is great. We have, our regular 888 Lake Law. We have a landing page that we use as well, ERTC advisors.org, that has everything on there. We can put a URL for you as well to use. They can reach out to me directly. I can give my direct line. We have a very large team handling all of this nationwide. So we're very experienced in the types of questions that business owners have, and the documents that are needed, we go over right away up front. We ask, to put, the business owner to put us in contact with, their accounting department. So to get those records, really that's the most difficult part, is just getting the records, uploaded into the portal to do these calculations. But once we get those, it's usually a 2 to 4 week turnaround to get the claim worked up. And what I mean by records is it's payroll documents from pay period from, March 2020 through September 2021, quarterly financials and gross receipts from 2019 to 21. If you took out PPP loans, those applications for draw 1 and 2, and the 941s from 2019 to 2021. And if we're going to do the governmental mandate test, which we always counsel our clients to see if they do qualify under that, because you can use both. If you had a drop in revenue over certain quarters versus governmental mandates, you can use both to get, those 6 quarters. It's called an impact eligibility statement as well.
Good deal. All right. Good deal, my man. So, well, listen, if you're out there listening to this or watching this on YouTube, give Michael a call. Go below to the URL or go to erctaxadvisors.com.
ERTCadvisors.org.
Okay. ERTC advisor. Okay.
We have a bunch of landing pages, trackable ones for the different advertising, things that we're doing, but that's our main one. And also what I would like to say is referrals. So, any law firm owners that are listening, you likely have a lot of businesses from your current clients or your former clients or even leads. So you can do outreach through those under the ethical rules, to comply with those, to reach out to them. And, if you put us in contact with a business owner that is interested in having their ERC claim processed, we can provide referral fees on those, as well as, any friends or other colleagues that you may have in the area.
So if you do call and tell him that Ken referred you, so
that's right.
I get a referral fee. I hadn't thought about that. Yep. I want to get the referral fee. Yeah. But the big deal is it don't cost anything to see if you qualify, right?
Completely free. It's there's no upfront charge. So with accounting firms and other places, payroll companies, they do charge an upfront fee, and then you may be out a large amount if you don't qualify for much in the end. With us, it's just a contingency fee after you already have the money. You have the check from the IRS. Other companies also don't provide free audit defense. You're going to have to pay for that. And it's a difference. So, as a law firm, we have to comply with a lot of ethical rules. We also have CPAs that we work with. So, these other accounting firms, they may only have CPAs. And if they haven't come to you now about ERC or said that you don't qualify, probably, should get a second opinion from someone else to see if you actually do, because it's a lot of money that, these business owners are entitled to for keeping their staff on payroll during the pandemic.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I did not qualify because I live in that state, one of those hard states called South Carolina that never admitted that we had COVID the whole time. The governor said, "Oh, everybody's just got a bad cold. Don't worry about it. We'll all be fine." After 30,000 people dead later, but that's the way it works. All right. Well, listen, thank you so much, and until next time, this is Ken Hardison, dedicated to your success.
You have been listening to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, the podcast that leads lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Go to growyourlawfirm.com to find more ways to market and manage your law firm. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.